Well, howdy folks. This is old Tennessee Billy Bob talking to you from Arkansas. I'm way down in the deep backwoods south, and I would like to share with you today one of my favorite recipes of all time, armadillo Wellington. Now you probably know it as beef Wellington, made famous by the world famous chef Mr. Gordon Ramsay. And he sure is the best dadgum chef I ever did see, and he's my favorite. I got all his books, and this is my favorite book right here because it's got the recipe for beef Wellington, which I turned into my own recipe and used armadillo. Now I'll tell you why. Beef is awful dadgum expensive in these parts, $22 a pound. Who can afford that on my wages? Of course, we got all these armadillos just crawling around all over the road. There's all kinds of good stuff for cooking. And I found this little beauty just sitting there just waiting for me. It's like he knew we was going to do the show. So all I had to do was just swerve over a little bit and step on the gas. Whack! I knocked him out right on the first run. Didn't have to chase him in the woods and finish him off or nothing. So anyway, what we're going to do today, we're going to cook up this beautiful little piece of armadillo, and we're going to wrap him up in all kinds of fancy stuff just like old Gordo does. I like to call him Gordo because it makes me feel like we're close and stuff. Anyway, I don't really know the man, okay, and he ain't never met me or nothing, but I'd sure like to cook with him someday. So if you's watching, old Gordo there, maybe someday I could show you some of my recipes. You just might like it. So anyway, we're going to get this little feller going. Got these are called cremini mushrooms. These are the fanciest mushrooms I could find in the store. Of course, we ain't got much of a store. Old Arnold down the way about 25 miles, he's got a gas station and he sells a few other things on the side, and that's where we have to do most of our grocery shopping. But he does a pretty good job. So what we're going to do now is we got to chop up these mushrooms real fine like, because we ain't got no food processor. Gordo over there, he says you got to use a food processor. Got to make sure you don't chop your dadgum fingers off. So what we got to do now is lightly season our meat. In this case, we got to season up old Army. So we're going to use just a little bit of black pepper. I got him all nice and cleaned up, as you can see. A little bit of black pepper on there. And I ain't going to put on too much salt. Just a tiny little bit. Probably don't need it. Not that I'm going against old Gordo there, but the prosciutto, it's kind of like an Italian kind of bacon or something. They call it prosciutto. You can get it in a lot of the stores, but we had to order it in special down here. Anyway, the prosciutto is pretty salty, so you don't want to put on too much salt on the meat. So now we're going to color it, we're going to sear it on all sides, and then we're going to get it ready for wrapping up. So we're going to take our little piece of armadillo now. We're going to get him colored on all sides, just like old Gordo does in his regular recipe. I'm telling you, this is going to be one tasty varmint when I get her all cooked up. So we've got our piece of armadillo. It's all colored up, as you can see. Ain't he looking just dadgum purty already? I think it's time for celebratory, I could almost say that word. Celebratory, I like to use big words because it makes me feel important. I try to feel important every chance I get. But I think it's time for a little celebratory beverage. I made this batch myself and I just finished her off about 2 days ago. Now you can't have no open flames or nothing when you're drinking this. And you gotta stay at least 6 feet away from the stove or any possible source of heat. Otherwise, this sucker could just poop and go just like that. But she sure is some excellent sipping whiskey. Woo! Texas lemonade, that's what I like to call her. Dang nabbit! Dang, man, that is a good batch. Woo! Woo! Okay. Just gotta catch my breath there for a second. Wow, what a wallop. Okay, let's get back to some cooking. What the heck was I doing? Oh yeah, my memory's coming back. Woo! Okay, now, according to the recipe, it's time to brush our armadillo here with some English mustard. Now, I have to confess, Gordo, we don't get no dadgum English mustard in these parts. Best thing I could come up with was French's mustard. French's Dijon mustard. Now, I don't know what John, he must be a pretty important feller to have his own mustard named after him. And I don't know what the D stands for. I know it's French because it says French's right on it. That must be French for Mr. Mr. John Mustard. Dagnabbit. We're going to give it a try because we can't get no English mustard today. So what we're going to do, we go to brush this little bad boy. Just like that. I like squeeze bottles. They's easy to use. I wonder if old Gordo uses a squeeze bottle. Of course, he's so famous, he probably squeezes anything he wants. So we got to get a little more mustard on there and get all the parts. So we got our piece of meat is all mustered up. He's ready to go. And now we got to lay out these prosciutto slices on a piece of plastic wrap. Just like old Gordo says. And he says you got to overlap these guys to make a bit of a basket so we can just wrap it around the whole thing. But sometimes it gets a little sticky and they don't want to come off it's like fly paper. So you have to be a little bit careful. And that looks mighty pretty right there. And I think that's big enough. I think we's ready. We got our mushrooms is spread out over the prosciutto. Now remember, those is cremini mushrooms. I don't think it matters much what kind of mushrooms you use because old Gordo there didn't really specify in the recipe. I guess that's where you gotta wing it. So now we have to take our prosciutto and our meat and we gotta roll this boy all the way around like that. Bring that around like that. And then we're going to close up this end. There'll be a little extra bacon on the end. Oh, I'm sorry. The prosciutto. There'll be a little extra prosciutto on the end. Just like that. And then it's going to get all squished up. I don't do this every day like old Gordo does. He does this on all his shows. Of course, I bet he never ever did armadillo Wellington before. I'd sure like to do it with him sometime. Get up there, you dagnabbit. Starting to look just like a nice little present. Just a beautiful sight. You know, I bet old Gordo, he cooks for all kinds of celebrities and kings and queens. He's my hero. if I could ever be as good as him, maybe I could get my own show someday. There we go. I think we got her. Now we got to twist this around and make her real tight and keep on twisting it. Yeah, I bet he cooks for all kinds of movie stars and stuff. I bet you he cooks for movie stars like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. They's mighty fine folks. I like them too. I think that Miss Jolie, I think she's a fine woman. She adopted all them kids and does all that charity stuff and helps feed people that ain't got the ability to feed themselves and stuff. I think she just does great things. And she's a real looker too, dagnabbit. I'd sure like to take her for a walk in the woods. Oh, Bradley, you a lucky son of a gun. If I was you, I'd be hanging on to that one with both hands too. There, I think we got her all wrapped up. This is just a small one, but it's only me. I'm alone right now. I ain't got no woman. Well, maybe someday, just ain't got the time right now. Of course, what's not to like, right? Still got most of my teeth. There we go. Now we're going to put that in the fridge for a little while, and she's got to sit cool for about 20 minutes. We're going to put the puff pastry on there, and we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to put her in the oven, and she's going to be looking awful dadgum good. If it turns out nice, boy, I'm going to be happier than a puppy with two Peters. So he's back. Now while he's waiting for the armadillo to cool off in the fridge, just like the recipe says, I'm going to cut up my vegetables. And today I went and I got myself some red peppers and I got some zucchini. Now I went to the zoo to go get it, and they said, dagnabbit, boy, we ain't got no dadgum zucchini. Go figure. Had to go to the grocery store. We're going to saute them bad boys up in some butter and some salt, and we're going to keep it real simple like. Then we're going to do some taters. And I'm going to season it up with a little bit of onion and stuff. Did you know that them French people, they eat their tater soup cold? Who in tarnation wants to eat cold soup? They call it vichy soise. I don't know why they just don't call it dadgum soup. Anyway, time for a sip. Dagnabbit, that's a good batch. I bet you can hear that sizzling. Just gonna season up my taters. A little salt and a little pepper. I like to throw just a tiny little bit of paprika in there. Ooh, they sticking to the dadgum pan. That ain't no good. Make sure none of them flies out of the pan. Have yourself a slip from there. I like to keep my chopped onions right in the freezer. Got them all ready to go anytime I want them. I think I gotta get me a new pan. Take this one back and hit that salesman right over the head with it. Now you can say we got our puff pastry sitting nice and flat out on the board, and it's sitting on top of some flour so it don't stick to nothing. So what we got to do now, we're going to unwrap our armadillo. You don't want to cook this with the plastic still on. That might be a little chewy. Get rid of that. Don't that just look dadgum pretty? I think we go that way. I think we're gonna turn it over too. Let's go that way. Beautiful. Get rid of that. Now we need an egg. Go to brush this bad boy. I learned that from one of Gordo's books. So I put the seam on the bottom just like he said. Now we're going to turn it over. I guess I should brush that side first because we got to brush it all over again. Look at me painting it up just like a regular Picasso. He's a famous painter, you know. As you can see, we are ready for the oven. All we got to do now, according to the recipe, is just lightly put these little cuts into the dough. I ain't putting hardly no pressure on or nothing. I think they call it scoring, like in hockey. Then we got to brush it with the egg one more time. And our oven is at 400 degrees. We're going to cook this bad boy, and it's going to be good. It's looking real good now. Time to put our little baby in the oven. We're going to cook her now at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. So we got to watch my watch real close. I wonder why they say that. Why do they call it a watch if you got to watch it? You're saying it all the time. We got to watch her real close, and then after 20 minutes, we're going to turn her down to 350 degrees, and we're going to bake it for another 15 minutes. Then we got to bring it out, and you got to let it rest for another dadgum 10 minutes. It takes forever to make this dadgum thing, but it sure is good and worth waiting for. And you couldn't learn better than from anybody else than that book right there. I tell you, it's the best dadgum cookbook I ever did use. Here we go. Well, we is getting to the moment of truth. Now we put that little sucker in that oven there and baked it for 20 minutes at 400 degrees. Then we turned the oven down to 350 degrees, as you can see, for another 15 minutes. Coming up right now. Let's see how she looks. Well, now, ain't that the purtiest dadgum thing you ever did see? Armadillo never looked so good before. She's nice and golden brown. Now, my puff pastry broke a little bit on the side, but that's okay, it happens. She looks pretty dadgum tasty. Now we gotta let it rest. Old Gordo says to let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. Well, our little armadillo Wellington looks pretty dadgum good. She's rested for 10 minutes now. And I think I'm going to give it a slice and see what kind of doneness we got on the inside. The moment of truth. Ooh-wee! Would you look at that? That is just perfectly pink. I'm not sure if you can see that in the light, but there she is. Pink just like old Gordo's recipe said it would. Now if I can do this, dagnabbit, anybody can do it. I think it's time to start eating this dinner. Well, dagnabbit boy, we did it. We did it. This looks so dadgum tasty. I just can't wait to try it. Look how perfect and pink that is. I guess that's medium. Medium. It ain't medium rare. It's probably just medium. Let's give her a try right now. I got my paper towels. Is always handy when you need a napkin. I don't normally use a napkin, but I know old Gordo, he'd be disappointed in me if I wasn't using a napkin. I ain't always this civilized, you know. Because we're doing it on YouTube and all them people is watching. Look at that puff pastry looking real good. Let's give this a try. That is the best dadgum armadillo I ever did have. Now you watch this. You just watch this right now. That steak is so tender, I can cut it with my fork. And that's a good 1 inch thick steak. So it don't matter. When you're driving on the road and you see something crawling around at night, don't turn your nose up at it. It might be pretty dadgum tasty, and it's free. Dagnabbit. I'm telling you, Gordo, your recipes and my meat choices, Pulitzer Prize material. Yes, sir, Reba, Pulitzer Prize. I sure hope I get to meet you someday. Maybe I could get your autograph on my book. Y'all come back now. And next time, maybe I'll share with you my recipe for spicy varmint stew. It's dadgum tasty and sure to curl the hairs in your sphincter for sure.